Namaste. Today I'm going to read Volume 1, Book 2, Rudra Samhita, Part 1, Chapter 18, The Redemption of Guna Nidhi in the Shiva Puran. Vakratu Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha. Brahma said, Gunanidhi, the son of the Diksita, Yajnadatha, came to know of this. Regretfully, he cursed himself and set off from that place. After wandering aimlessly for a long time, he, the wicked fellow, felt the abandonment keenly and losing all hopes, halted at a place. He thought to himself, where am I to go? What shall I do? I have not studied much, nor am I rich enough. Only a wealthy man can be happy in a foreign land, although he has to face the fear of thieves there. Of course, this fear is present everywhere. I am born in the family of priests officiating in sacrifices. Why am I reduced to this wretched plight? Fate is powerful indeed, controlling all our future actions. I cannot even beg, as I have no acquaintance, no money. Where shall I seek refuge? Every day, even before sunrise, my mother used to feed me with sweet pudding. Today, whom shall I beg? My mother too is away from me. O Narada, even as he was musing like this, woefully, sitting at the foot of a tree, the sun set. In the meantime, a certain devotee of Lord Shiva came out of the city, taking with him various articles of offering. He had observed fast on the Shivratri day. In order to worship Lord Shiva, he was on his way along with his kinsmen and was carrying different sorts of delightful offerings. The devotee entered the temple of Shiva, where he worshipped him in the prescribed manner with sincere devotion. The Brahmin boy, son of Yajnadatha, devoid of his mother and dismissed by his father, was very hungry by this time. He inhaled the sweet fragrance of the sweet puddings and followed the devotee. Fortunately, these devotees of Shiva go to sleep. After offering the eatables to Shiva, I shall eat these vast varieties of puddings and sweets in the night. With this hope, he sat at the threshold of the temple of Shiva, watching the great worship by the devotee. When the worship was over, the songs and dances of prayer were duly concluded. The devotees lay down and began to sleep. Immediately, the young man entered the sanctorium of Shiva in order to steal the eatables left there. The lamp was burning very dimly. Hence, in order to see the puddings clearly, he tore a piece of cloth from his lower garment and put that piece in the lamp as a wick, thus making the lamp give a good light. Yajnadatha's son gleefully took plenty of the sweets offered as eatables to Lord Shiva by the devotees. With sweets in his hands, he came out hurriedly. In his hurry, he stamped on some person lying there, who woke up immediately. Who is that? Who is running away so fast? Catch him! So shouted the man, who woke up in a voice hoarse with fear. The Brahmin boy, Gunanidhi, who ran for life, became blind. So he was caught and killed by the watchman on duty. O sage, by the favor of Shiva, or by the power of accumulated merit, the son of Yajnadatta could not partake of the offerings of eatables made to Lord Shiva. The terrible soldiers of Yama who desired to take him to Samyamani, the abode of Yama, approached him with nooses and clubs in their hands and bound him. In the meantime, the attendants of Shiva, with tridents in their hands and tinkling anklets on their arms, reached the spot in an aerial chariot in order to take him to Shiva Loka. Shiva Ganas said, "O attendants of Yama, leave this righteous Brahmin alone. He cannot be punished since his sins have been burnt off." On hearing these words of Shiva's attendants, the attendants of Yama became terrified and addressed the attendants of Shiva. Yama Ganas said, "O Ganas, this is a wicked Brahmin who has broken the traditions and conventions of his family. He has disobeyed his father's directions and has forsaken truthfulness or purity. He does not offer his Sunday prayers. He does not take his ceremonial baths regularly. Leave aside his other activities. He has now transgressed and outraged the offerings of eatables made to Shiva. You can see this personally. In fact, he is not worthy of even being touched by people like you. Those who consume or outrage the offerings of eatables made to Shiva, and those who offer these to others, the mere touch of these persons is said is sinful. Even poison is not so dangerous when drunk. Never shall a person make use of Shiva's property, even if he were to die. It is granted that you are an authority on virtue. We are not. But, O Ganas, if this fellow has at least a bit of virtue to his credit, please let us hear the same." On hearing these words of Yama's attendants, the attendants of Shiva remembered the lotus-like feet of Shiva and spoke to them thus. Shiva's attendants said, "O attendants of Yama, Shiva's ideas of dharma are very subtle. They can be observed only by persons of subtle and keen vision, not by people like you whose aim is only the gross exterior. O Ganas, hear attentively what the son of Yajnadatta has done, which has freed him from sins. The shadow of the lamp was falling on the top of the linga, and this Brahmin prevented it by adding a wick to the lamp at night, cutting a piece from his lower cloth. Another great merit he derived from listening to the names of Shiva, though casually. O attendants, he witnessed the worship that was being performed duly by a devotee. He was observing a fast and his mind was concentrated too. Let him go to Shiva Loka along with us as Shiva's follower. Let him enjoy great pleasures there for some time. Then he will shake off his sins and become the king of Kalinga. Since he has indeed become a great favorite of Shiva, nothing else need be mentioned now. Let all of you, emissaries of Yama, return to your own world with contented minds." Brahma said, "O lordly sage, on hearing these words of Shiva's attendants, the emissaries of Yama returned to Yama's abode." O sage, they narrated everything to Yama, whatever the messengers of Shiva told them about dharma, etc. Dharma Raja said, "O Ganas, listen attentively to what I say. Whatever I direct you to do, you shall do with loving devotion. O Ganas, you shall avoid those persons who bear on their forehead the mark of Tripundra, besmeared with white ashes. Never shall they be brought here. O Ganas, You shall avoid those persons who regularly dust their body with white ashes. Never shall they be brought here. You shall avoid all those persons who assume the garb and feature of Shiva, whatever their reason may be. Never shall they be brought here. You shall avoid those persons who wear rudrakshas and keep matted hair. Never shall they be brought here. You shall avoid those persons who imitate the dress or the features of Shiva, even for their livelihood. Never shall they be brought here. You shall avoid those persons who imitate the dress and features of Shiva, even for the purpose of deception. Never shall they be brought here. Yama thus commanded his servants. They too agreed to follow his command and remained silent with the flickering smile on their lips. Brahma said, thus freed from the emissaries of Yama, the Brahmin boy became pure-minded and went to Shiva Loka along with the attendants of Shiva. There he served Shiva and Shiva Parvati and enjoyed all sorts of pleasures. Afterwards, he was born as the son of Arindama, the king of Kalinga. Known as Dama, he was devoted to the service of Shiva. Even as a boy, he carried on many acts of devotion to Shiva in the company of other children. When his father passed away, he became the king in the prime of his youth. In his kingdom, he spread the ideals and tenets of Shiva lovingly. The king Dama was unconquerable. O Brahmin, he did not stress any act of piety other than furnishing temples of Shiva with lamps in plenty. He called headmen of the villages in his kingdom and asked them to furnish all temples of Shiva with lamps. He warned them that if they defaulted, they would be punished. It is declared in the Vedas that Shiva is delighted at the gift of a lamp to his temples. Therefore, you headmen shall see that the temples of Shiva in your jurisdiction are properly illuminated with lamps. There is no question of hesitation in this matter. Undoubtedly, I shall get the defaulter beheaded. Thus, for fear of him, every temple was duly illuminated. With this act of piety alone, as long as he lived, the king Dama acquired ample prosperity. Finally, he passed away. The impression of lamps persisted in his mind. He caused many lamps to be lighted. Finally, he became the lord of Alaka with gem-set lamps to his credit. Thus, even the smallest service rendered to Shiva bears rich fruits in time. Let all persons seeking happiness realize this and constitute the worship of Shiva. That son of Dixita never cared for any act of piety. It was to steal that he had entered the temple of Shiva. To serve his own end, he had brightened the lamp there, thereby dispelling the shadow of darkness on the top of the linga. Then he became the virtuous king of Kalinga, or foremost of the sages, where the wicked son of the Dixita and where the guardian there he became the virtuous king of Kalinga, or foremost of the sages, where the wicked son of the Dixita and where the guardian of a quarter. Although he had been simply a man, he became the guardian of a quarter. Thus I have narrated the story of Gunanidhi, the son of Yajnadatta. The story is pleasing to Shiva. Besides, it grants all desires of the listening devotees. O dear one, I shall tell you how he became the close friend of Shiva. Listen attentively. Footnotes. It is customary among the Orthodox Hindu families in India to offer libations of water mixed with jelly seeds to the Manans on particular days. So this was for the chapter before. 223. Shivaratri, Shiva's night. It is a popular fast and festival held in honor of Shiva on the 14th of the dark half of the month of Magha, or January-February, with many solemn ceremonies observed during the day and night. In Tantric literature, it is called Kalaratri, one of the three sacred nights, the other two being Maharatri and Moharatri. 224. Samyamini or Samyamani. The city of Yama is fabled to be situated on Mount Meru. 225. The Kalinga Desa occupied the narrower eastern coastal plain, form the delta of the Godavari to that of the Mahanadi River. It was probably one of the best known regions of the south known to ancient Indian literature. Alaka. It is the capital, 226, Alaka. It is the capital of Kubera, the chief of the Yakshas and Guyakas. It is also called Prabha, Vasudhara and Vasustali, and is fabled to be situated on the peak of the Himalayas, inhabited also by Shiva. Here ends today's reading of the Shiva Puran. Om Prabhu Prananatam Vyom Veshwanatam Jagannatanatam Sarantapacham Bhuti Puram Putam Poeshwaram Bhutanatam Om Kapura Kauram Karunavataram Sansarasaram Mojagendram Om Ham Jum Sabu Sutram Bakame Jam Sumishti Swam Sanacham Om Tuya Mata Chapitatme, Tuya Bandas Chacha Sakatme, Tuya Darbinang Tuya Sarvam Mamadim, Om Shanti Shanti. Om Hari Om Tat Sat.